Hey students, how we doing? Let's go over the 2-8 notes. There's not a lot to do here because it's just more proportion work, but it's mainly setting up the proportions and how to solve them. So here we go. Similar figures have a constant scale factor. What do you mean? That means every time you take a big piece and you divide it by the small piece, you're going to get the same number. It's called a scale factor. There's this thing I also call the roadmap. If you have a triangles like I do here, we have A, B, C, and D, E, F. It's going to give you some type of similarity statement. It's going to say, hey, A, B, C is similar to D, E, F. So what you do is this thing called the roadmap. The idea of it is you just stack A, B, C over D, E, F, and it shows all the matching pieces, all the matching angles, and also the matching segments. So right there, if I were to cover up the C and the F, oh, I know that segment AB is going to relate in the same scale factor to DE as BC to EF. And then also, if I were to erase the middle ones, AC to D. It lines everything up. So if you're ever confused on which pieces match which pieces, this will help you. I know for sure I have something like this on your checkpoints. So let's do some stuff here, right? So it looks like we're missing AC and we're missing DE. Now, as you can see, I've highlighted the 16 and the 12 because that's the corresponding piece. That's a link, the bridge, okay? I can use that link to find the scale factor. So that's one method. I'll show you that way really quick. So we'll find one of these missing pieces with the scale factor, and then we'll also solve it with proportions. So big over small. The big piece is 16. Why do I do big over small? I don't know. That's just the way I decided to do it. You can do small over big, but I think it's best to go big over small because when you do that, look what you get, students. If you take 16 and divide it by 12, you get a number, and that number is ew. It's 1.3 repeating. That's 4/3. Okay? So 4/3 is the scale factor. Okay? What does that mean? That means going from the small guy to the big guy, going this way, you're going to be multiplying by 4/3. Okay? So then reversing that, you would be dividing by 4/3. But then you remember, you never really truly divide by fractions, so you actually would be multiplying by the reciprocal. So let's use that to find one of the missing pieces. Oh, eeny, meeny, miny, here we go. So if I know that 18 is the small piece and I wanted to scale up to the big piece, I can use my scale factor. So I'm going to multiply by 4/3. All right, so let's do that really quick. 18 times 4/3. Oh, it's 24. That was easy. Okay. AC is going to equal 24. Okay. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to start with that link. Start with the 16 over 12. Okay. And then set that equal to another jump from the big shape to the small shape. So we did 16 to 12. Let's set that equal to, I don't know, maybe 10 to DE, I'm going to call it Y for right now. Look at that. Big guy to small guy is going to equal big guy to small guy. Just like real world problems, we do the first label, second label, first label, second label. Okay, so big, small, it's the same idea. If you set similar figures up, big to small equals big to small, you can find a missing piece as long as you have 3 of the 4 pieces. So with a proportion, you can cross multiply and divide. So that's going to be 120 divided by 16, which is 7.5. Okay, cool. Okay, so Y equals 7.5. So you right there, dude, you're 7.5. Now, just to be safe, let's see if I could also use the scale factor. Okay, so if I had 10 and I wanted to go from the big guy to the small guy, I would have to divide by 4/3. So let's write that down. 10 divided by 4/3. Hey, what do you know? Look at that. Same thing. So you can solve it with a proportion, or you can solve it by actually finding the scale factor. How do you find the scale factor? Big to small. We'll give you the scale factor. And then going from the big guy to the small guy, you multiply by the scale factor. Going from the big guy to the small guy, you divide by the scale factor. Also, proportions work every single time. Okay, so as long as you set it up big to small equals big to small, you can't really mess it up. Just double check your math and make sure you have a constant scale factor with all of your shapes. All right, that's it for basic proportions with similar figures.